Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a very different video. This is probably going to be the most personal video that I've ever put together. I would appreciate it if you would watch this video in its entirety. I think it's important, and I think the message is important. And I hope that if you are a subscriber to my channel, you're going to understand the importance of this video to me. And if you're not, one of the things that I focus on my channel is men's mental health, my own struggles with mental health, and the reason, quite frankly, that all my videos end with the tagline, "You are not alone." I have suffered from mental health issues from probably a child. I had gone to doctor after doctor through the years, therapist after therapist, psychiatrist after psychiatrist, and I was always told that I suffered from depression. That was always the fix to the solution. I was medicated as such, and kind of told to be on my way. I had seen a pattern my whole life with my depression, and seeing that it was there was a pattern to it, and I don't know how to explain it, but there was always these periods of where I was okay, and then I wasn't. And like I said, I had struggled with diagnosis, and I've talked to doctor after doctor, and I got nowhere. Until September 8th of last year. September 8th of last year, my life changed completely. For about the first month or so before that, so let's say August, and even before, I was having these really weird memory lapses. I would think that I was having conversations with, or I thought that I was having conversation. Let's try this again. I thought I had conversations with people that I never had. My memory was failing. Things that I could do, blind, I couldn't. I was struggling. And one day, I want to say it was maybe the day before September 8th. It was at least that week. I drove to the gas station. I put gas in my car. I left the gas station, and 30 seconds later, I was looking for another gas station because I thought I needed gas. I say that because I want you to understand how bad my memory was and the things that were impacting me. September 8th, my wife Katie insisted that we go to the doctor, my general practice doctor, who had prescribed me antidepressants for quite some time. And at that point, I was off them. She wanted me to go to the doctor, and she wasn't taking no for an answer because she was starting to understand that how bad I had gotten and what was going on. So I went to the doctor. Again, it was, well, I don't know what to do. We've tried some things. Let's get you someone else. Let's get you into a group that can provide 360 care for you, a psychiatrist, a therapist, and see if we can figure out what's going on. For those of you that aren't familiar with the mental health system, it's very difficult to get effective help for mental health. And I'm living proof of that. I guess it was about a week or two later, they had set me up with an appointment with a therapist, and my therapist was talking to me. I was explaining to her what's going on, and I can remember this as vividly as it was yesterday. Midway through her conversation, she picked up her phone and said to me, "Well, when's your psychiatrist appointment? Like, when's your med appointment?" I said, "Well, I'm on a waiting list, and God only knows, I'm suffering with this." Backtracking a bit, on September 8th, they had put me out of work. I want to say for at least a month, medically out. I was on disability. And she looks at her phone and says, "Hang on a minute." She sends a text message, and about a minute later in our conversation, she says, "Someone will be calling you for an appointment." It's probably going to be in the next few days. And I remember thinking, well, that's weird. I couldn't get an appointment with anyone at that point. You know, it was months for a psychiatrist. It's a horrible, mental health in this country is horrible. She expedited that. I sat down with the psychiatrist and we had a conversation. My wife Katie was in the room. Psychiatrist says to me, you know, from the testing we've done and questionnaires you've answered in talking to you, you don't have depression. Okay. So now what? She said to me, well, you're bipolar. And in that moment, a lot of things changed. Now, for you that aren't familiar with mental health and bipolar, bipolar is always thought of as people that have these manic episodes along with depression. I have what's called bipolar 2. Bipolar 2 is more of a gentle slope and change of behavior. So you go into more of a frantic versus manic, and then you slide into the depression. And these episodes can last a few weeks. They can last a few months. It really depends on who you are. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because my whole life I've been told I had depression. So why is it today that we figured out that I have bipolar? And the simple answer was the reason that I had hit absolute rock bottom and quite honestly had a complete breakdown mentally was that I was being treated for depression, and those meds were making my bipolar spin out of control, affecting my memory, affecting my energy, you name it. Now, this has occurred over the years. You can start to understand that how bad this was affecting my life. I was struggling, and I was struggling hard. And the purpose of this video and the spirit of this video is really to show you what this looks like for me and what I've gone through, and to hopefully help one person. I really know that this video is not going to get a lot of views, but for those of you that do watch it, I really do want to reinforce the fact that mental health is beyond important. So, September 8th, my entire life changed. My history of what I was dealing with, my life changes, my life goals, things that had happened, were really all based on these bipolar episodes. And that's when the reality hit me that in everything that was explained to me, I had all the classic symptoms. I had the highs, I had the lows, I had the coping mechanism skills that tend to lead into dangerous things. And sometimes it's not danger the way you would think, right? I was never a drug person, but it's alcohol, it's reckless behavior, it's reckless financial behavior, because in that frantic, you're looking for that endorphin rush, and you're not thinking properly. So when you look at that as a whole and as a pattern, I started to understand what was going on. And the reason I'm making this video is because I want you to understand what I've been through. And I want someone to see this video and realize that regardless of how hard you're struggling, there is an out. I can tell you right now that I had a lot of hesitation talking about this, because when you put things out on the internet, your first assumption is, well, what are people going to think? And that's the reason that this video is coming out a few days beyond Men's Mental Health Day because I really was concerned about that. But anyone that's ever experienced a mental health issue, especially to the degree that I have, I can tell you right now, nothing, absolutely nothing that someone could say to me, someone could do to me as far as, my employment, what have you, could be worse than the hell I was in. It was absolute and complete, utter hell. For me to articulate that, it's me being in a dark hole. It's a dark place. It's a hole that you can't climb out of. I want you to understand that if you're suffering, find an advocate. Find someone like my wife that is your partner, someone that knows there's a problem that's going to advocate for you. Because I can tell you right now, on September 8th, when I walked in the doctor's office, I was having a problem putting thoughts together. And I mean that sincerely. I'm not exaggerating. And my wife was able to articulate, this is what's going on, this is the patterns, these are the meds he's taking. So I want you to understand that people that are struggling with mental health need a lot more from you than the traditional, well, if you need anything, I'm here. I am here to tell you that that is the most fucked up thing you can ever say to someone that's struggling with mental health. Because if you're struggling with mental health, chances are you don't have that ability. Because you're so in that darkness and so in that hole. So my challenge for you is, if you're struggling, get help. Do not be afraid to have that conversation. The scariest thing for me, and I can only relate to my story, is sitting at the doctor's office and saying, I'm not okay. I'm not. We need to stop this stigma of people being afraid to say that. I may never be beyond this, but I'm being treated so I can live a, quote, normal life. We need to stop the stigma. We need to stop saying to people, if there's anything you need, you let me know. If you know somebody that's struggling, advocate for them to get help. Be the person that's available to help them. Not just words, in your presence, in your checking in with them. Oddly enough, the people that engaged me the most during these episodes and during everything since September 8th were you, the community. Couldn't tell you how many times I would open up Instagram or my phone, people that had my phone number were just texting me. You all right? How's your headspace? What are you doing today? Those people were part of my healing. And if you've heard me before and say, you need a village. You need a village of support. Those are the people you want to cling to in your struggles. For those of you that are watching that know you're one of those people, thank you. Thank you from the absolute bottom of my heart. Because whether you understand it or not, you're responsible for me being here. You're responsible for me being out of that hole. And I thank you. Again, this video, if you've gotten to this point, has probably made you uncomfortable at times. And to that I say good. Be uncomfortable. Be completely uncomfortable. This is not supposed to be a conversation of unicorns and sunshine. I want you to realize that there are people in this world that are struggling, and I want you to realize that you can help them. And if you are struggling, I want you to realize that there is a way out of this darkness. Don't give up and keep fighting. I wanted to share with you something that really hit home to me in sort of explaining what I went through. A guy walks down the street one day, he falls into this dark hole. A priest walks by, he says, "Father, I'm in this hole. I can't get out." The priest writes down a prayer and he throws it in the hole. Next thing you know, a doctor walks by. He says, "Hey doc, I'm in this hole. I can't get out." Doctor writes a prescription, throws it down the hole. Then a friend walks by. And he says, "Hey Chris, I'm in this hole. Can you help me out?" Friend jumps in the hole. Guy says, "What the hell are you doing?" "I'm stuck in this hole. A doctor's walked by. He's threw me a prescription. A priest walked by. He threw me a prayer. Now we're in the darkness. Now we're in this deep hole." And the friend turns to him and says, "I've been in this hole. I know the way out." And to that I say, please remember, you're not alone. Thanks for watching.